Well, I've kind of been looking forward to this. I mean, I'm not the biggest wrestling fan. Peter is, but I certainly know the legend of Jim Ross, the legendary WWE broadcaster, and he joins us now here at McFadden's at Citi Field. Jim, it's great to see you. Thank you for coming by.
Thank you, Michael. And I'm glad we got Barry Warner in the conversation.
That's right. You have to. A mutual friend of ours. You're a baseball fan, and you were telling me you have Mantle memorabilia.
About 25 years I've been collecting Mantle memorabilia. Of course, every little fat kid in Oklahoma in my era wanted to be number 7.
Right.
In Little League. I got to wear 25, so it tells you where I fit in that whole dichotomy. I was the Moose Scourin of my team,
right,
playing first base. But yeah, Mantle was our guy, and they say you should never meet your heroes. I did, and I wasn't disappointed with him, even though he may have had a few vodkas at that point.
Now, what's the best piece of Mantle stuff that you have?
Oh man, he hated to sign golf balls. I've got some golf balls signed. I've got every Sports Illustrated cover that he was ever on signed by him.
Wow.
Wow.
And I got a 64, the year I was in Little League, 64, I was 12. I have a 64 Mickey Mantle Little League glove signed by him, and a ball, and a bat, and a away jersey, and a cap. I got all kinds of stuff. A high school yearbook, all kinds of crazy things. And so Mantle was my guy, and I got to meet him one time. He gave me some interesting advice, fellas. You guys could maybe figure this out. He said, Jim, that was before us JR,
right,
never date a woman with big hands.
Did he tell you why?
I think we know why.
Now, by the way, moments like that.
I'm a little slow on the uptake.
Yeah. There are plenty of moments like that when you see JR live, and I found out there's just 10 VIP tickets left, 10 tickets total left. Tomorrow night, Gotham Comedy Club, JR doing his one-man show, hosted by Don's brother, Dave LaGreca from Busted Open. JR, the one thing everyone had been asking me to ask you, and I'm guessing you don't know much more than I do at this point, have you heard any updates on Ric Flair over the last 24 hours?
Nothing new, except it was, somewhat verified that he had a blocked bowel, and they had the blockage. He had let it linger. The stomach aches had persisted and got more intense, and then there's some other issues that created out of that. But I'm hearing he's stable, which is a good thing.
Yep.
And he's strong, resilient. I mean, the guy started wrestling again after an airplane crash and broke his back, so I think he's pretty resilient.
Where does he rank among popularity and wrestling fans?
Popularity is right there. I mean, he's, in my view, my 40 years in it, he's the best all-around performer I've ever seen. Night in, night out. Could be a bad guy, could be a good guy. He could wrestle a guy that had great skill set and have a wonderful match with him. He could wrestle a bum and have a pretty good match with him because Flair was so good.
Jim Ross is our guest of the WWE. You've been there a long time. Did you ever imagine it could be this big?
Heck no, man. I started out broadcasting with a stick mic. The cameraman was my floor director. Give you your cue, which is that. Like, go. Right. So, 3, 2, we're back when? Oh, 90. I didn't get that. So, stick mic, 2 camera shoot, and then all the way to stadium shows and WWE with, 20 cameras and, 20 semi-trucks and all this stuff. Heck no. And, I was working for Vince when we were almost bankrupt in the mid-90s. I took a huge pay cut to stay. And he said, I'll take care of you when we make it. And I knew he was telling me the truth. I knew we'd make it. But little did I know it would go public and make it that big.
Now, did he take care of you?
Absolutely.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing I think I'm most interested in about. I'm sure there's lots of this in your book, Slobber Knocker, My Life in Pro Wrestling, that comes out in October. But Vince has an up and down relationship with a lot of people, and your relationship with him having highs and lows is sort of public consumption if you're a big wrestling fan. But you guys have been very close. I mean, he trusted you in a way that he trusts very few people in the world. And in fact, even right now, he writes the foreword for your book. So what can you say about Vince McMahon, the man?
Well, he's George Steinbrenner and I'm Billy Martin. And we fought like cats and dogs, so we loved each other. And we still do. We just had strong philosophical differences on certain things. And me, being the hard-headed Okie that I am, I chose the wrong hills to die on upon occasion. So, but I think...
Can you give us an example?
Well, just talent. Some talents I thought were underutilized. It's a matter of who gets playing time.
Right.
Well, I think we're going to use this guy. I think this guy's better. No, we're going to use this guy. Well, it's my responsibility to hire the talent and to train the talent and get them contracted and all that stuff. And it was also my idea to break the bad news. You ain't starting today. So I had a dog in the hunt. So we just had small things, just philosophical things. Who's the best left-hander in baseball? I don't know, that type deal. It was all subjective stuff. He could be right, and I could be right. But because he owned the company, he was right.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, and you mentioned the referencing to Steinbrenner. I just heard Tony Schiavone on his podcast just told there was a great story about Bobby the Brain Heenan and George Steinbrenner, who Heenan actually knew.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you, had you ever heard any stories about that?
George was a big wrestling fan. Anytime George was a big pal of Dusty Rhodes, the late Dusty Rhodes, George loved wrestling. I think he loved the spectacle, the showbiz aspect of the sizzle, and just enough athleticism in George's view to keep him interested. But George was a big wrestling fan, and George would have been, if George had lived, I got to believe we would have done something at Yankee Stadium.
Wow. Yeah, makes sense. Yeah.
What's the greatest wrestler, the best entertainer that you've seen in terms of wrestling?
Ooh, well, I signed some pretty good guys. And this kid named Dwayne Johnson I signed after he got cut in the Calgary Stampeders practice squad. I figured this way. If a guy's going to get cut from a CFL practice squad, he probably is done with football.
Right.
Yeah, that's the last chance saloon, right?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. So I went down to recruit him, and I remember going into a little Cuban restaurant at his choice. I remember what we had for our lunch.
This is in Miami?
Yeah, no, in Davie, actually.
Okay.
Davie. I had, anyway, the chicken, the black beans, the rice. Here's what I remember. I remember every female in the joint coming by to fill up our water glass or our tea glass. And I think some of those women didn't even work there. They wanted to get a look at the great one.
Sure.
So I knew at that point, when guys are coming by and give me a fist bump because it's good old JR sitting in the booth type deal, they really wanted to see Rock, Dwayne at the time. And so he said, I'd like to buy you lunch, but I've only got $7 to my name. And if you watch Ballers on HBO, a lot of us do, sports fans, it says it's produced by $7 Entertainment. That's the name of his company, $7, because that's what he had the day that he and I sat down on a recruiting business.
We were talking about my brother David. He's got the show Busted Open on Channel 93 on Sirius XM, 2 to 4, Monday through Friday. Might as well give him a plug.
Good brother, as you should.
And I'm in sports radio, and he's in sports radio. But obviously it's a little different. I asked him, what do you talk about? And he's like, I talk the same way about other sports. Who belongs in the Hall of Fame, analyzing Raw, and all that. So we talk a lot about CTE, concussions, and the health of the ball players. Is that a serious discussion among wrestlers?
Absolutely, as it should be. And it's even a more serious discussion with upper management that can actually do something about it regarding scheduling, how the athletes perform, what they do, what they don't do. Because athletes are athletes. Don, you know the fact that they'll take a chance. They don't want to risk their paydays. They don't want to bitch about something. My head's hurting. Okay, don't tell anybody you got a headache.
Exactly.
Yeah. Sure, you're going to be unbooked. So I think it's a big issue, and I'm glad that WWE has stepped to the plate way ahead of everybody else in the genre by having a full-time MD at every event on staff, and a trainer, and nutritionist, and all these things that they need to have. And I think it's a great thing for them to take care of these guys and gals better, because it's a business with no season.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
The day after the Super Bowl, there's just another game the next night. In fact, it's the biggest night of the year.
Well, after SummerSlam on Sunday on the WWE Network, they'll be back on Monday Night Raw in the same venue.
Yep. And Tuesday for SmackDown.
And sold out.
And I should add, JR, that same week, starting the 26th. Or 28th? What's the date of the Mae Young Classic? 28th. JR will also be lead man calling, along with Hall of Famer Lita, the Mae Young Classic, an all-women's tournament on the WWE Network, which is pretty cool.
You guys would love this deal. We have 32 women from 13 countries, had 4 interpreters, because I don't speak such good English as you could already tell, being Okie. However, we got them in this little room, and that was an interesting assignment. We did 32, it's like fighter interviews, the pregame thing. And boy, it's a different world. The woman's world of wrestling, pro wrestling, is an entirely different animal than anything I had ever envisioned in that regard, because they're caught up in all the equality, and they should. I mean, I'm not knocking anything they're doing, but boy, they come in our little interview room, they start crying. They see 3 Hall of Fame people here, me and 2 ladies, and it's like they're little kids again. It's like, gosh, easy now. You're going to get me crying here. So, and you know, it's just so emotional, and it's going to be fun. 32 women, August 28th when that starts, so it'll be a good run.
Can you see Brock Lesnar going back to UFC?
Without a doubt.
Really?
I think it's a lead pipe gut stench. He's going back to UFC, and I say that where I don't think he's going to leave WWE full time. He can double dip very easily. I think in the WWE situation is him going back to UFC. The fight with the money fight that the UFC needs, they need attractions, is Jon Jones and Brock Lesnar. A catch-weight fight for a big money fight. If I were them, I'd add a little stip into it that I'm going to bonus the winner $1 million. If you want to be a P.T. Barnum, Vince McMahon-like promoter,
I love that.
Throw $1 million out there. Say, you got your regular fee, right? So I'm going to put a little more cheese on your Whopper, a little more sugar, now, another meal to the winner.
JR, as a true wrestling mind, in this era, is there any concern that it would hurt the WWE to have the most dominant star in the business potentially lose to a much smaller guy like Jon Jones in a legit fight?
I don't think so. I really don't. I think people know that WWE showbiz. Like you guys probably thought, what the hell's JR on our sports show for? He's a wrestling guy. It's showbiz. So I think it's two different entities, Pete. I really do, and I don't think it'll hurt anything a bit.
Well, but could it help if he's successful?
Bingo. That's the risk. It's the downside aspect of it is not significant. The upside potential, if he wins, he beats John Bones Jones by some way. Either how, knowing Lesnar, he won't be on points. He'll beat him up, or he'll get beat up. So it's going to be good for WWE business. And the thing about it is, when you're on TV, people are going to say, oh, yeah, Brock Lesnar, the WWE guy. It's WWE goes along
constant
with,
promotion.
Yeah, he goes along with it. So,
is there jealousy in your business where, you know, John Cena has exploded, makes money away from wrestling as well, does movies? The Rock obviously went on to make a lot of money in movies. Is there jealousy within the ranks where he's getting more high-profile bouts and things like that? Do you have to deal with that?
Sometimes, yeah. And this human nature, it's a locker room. That's the whole thing that some people they miss the point on about our locker room. I've done NFL football. I did the ill-fated year of the XFL. I've done college sports, boxing, MMA, a little boxing for CBS. Locker rooms are locker rooms. I really believe that. And even though the outcomes of their matches are predetermined, they approach everything like any other athlete. And they don't accept they got to be a showman as well. So, yeah, there's competition. Who's in the peak segments? The segment at the top of the hour, the top of the next hour, the top of the third hour on Raw. I want to be in those segments. And when you're not and you're buried in a quarter hour someplace else, wrestlers say, well, so-and-so's, the Greco's getting all the juice, you know? So, yeah, there's jealousy. And I think it's good for that. I think it's good to have jealousy.
Now, you're a big Oklahoma football fan.
Yes, sir.
Were you shocked when Bob Stoops left?
No, I wasn't shocked. I was surprised at the timing, but I knew it was coming.
Why? He was just done? He
told me he was going to stop at 55. He was 56. After my wife passed, he and his wife came to our house, and I don't know how it is here in the Northeast, but in Oklahoma, when you have a death and you're mourning, you have people come by and bring you casseroles.
Yeah.
Okay.
Casseroles, right? And they do a drive-by. So I figure he and his wife Carol are going to bring me a casserole. They're going to stay 20 minutes and get the hell out of here. Well, they stayed all afternoon, and we watched March Madness. No casserole, by the way. But he said, what are you going to do now, JR? So I'm going to slow down, Bobby. I'm going to try to enjoy a little bit of the fruits of my labor. I waited too long to do it with her. And he said, I'm doing the same thing. I will not be Bobby Bowden. I will not be Joe Pa. I will not be even Bill Snyder. I'm getting out while I still got energy and I want to do things.
So you don't think he'll go back somewhere?
I asked him that question just about a week ago. I said, how many coaching offers you got already? He said, I sent him the agent. He said, I'm not interested in coaching.
Really?
Well, he's got two twin boys that are both being recruited by mid-majors and the service academies and the Ivy League schools. One's a DB, one's a wide receiver. He's not seen hardly any games of their whole life because he's been the coach at OU for the last 18 years. They were born in Norman.
Right.
So they'll be seniors. They won the 6A title game last year. They played in it. So I think he wants to watch football, watch his kids play football. And he told me one time he took another coaching job. He'd like to coach junior high basketball. I won't hold my breath on that one, but it's a nice goal.
You know, you mentioned the ill-fated XFL. I still think spring football could work. I think they just bite off too much more than they can chew. And I don't know why they were so disappointed in the ratings. Yeah, they weren't NFL numbers, but I thought they were serviceable. Why do you think that they wanted to go so big when I think if they went a little bit smaller, it'd still be around today.
I think Dick Ebersol, the genius that he is, with the Olympics and all the things he's done at NBC over the years, and McMahon's personality, let's go big or go home, just didn't allow them to grow and take little steps. And we had a great time. I'm with you. Spring football will work, but the NFL was desperately in dire opposed to the XFL. They thought, well, they're on NBC. There's a little threat here. Let's, so all my buddies that were NFL writers said, we can't help you. We've been told that we're going to lose our credentials. I mean, it was dirty. It was dirty pool.
That's probably why the NBC got the NFL, because there's no place for another league to go. Every network has something.
Right.
Interesting. Now, you've mentioned the passing of your wife. Obviously, you've known how popular you are within the wrestling community. The outpouring of love and affection, did that take you by surprise?
Yeah, it was humbling. It really humbling. I always thought I didn't deserve it. She was the star of the team. But it was just, man, us guys, sometimes we take a lot of stuff for granted in our lives. And I sure took her for granted sometimes.
And I wanted to say, JR, in public, JR's a beloved guy. But I'll tell you right now, I had the pleasure of getting to meet Jan on multiple WrestleManias in a row. And she was the rare person who remembers you. JR, might take a couple times. I idolized JR. Met him, and by the second time, he started warming up like a normal celebrity. Jan remembers you the second you meet her. And as much as JR's beloved, JR, I'm telling you, I've been around the business. I've started working there over the last 9 months. Jan was a beloved person.
Yeah, she was to me, and irreplaceable, but it took me a damn week to find her checkbook. I couldn't even pay the bill. She paid every bill.
Oh, wow.
And
same with me.
I didn't know the guy's name that mowed our lawn.
Did you figure, have you started to figure everything out and put it all together?
Oh, yeah. I hired a housekeeper, and I hired a yard guy, and I've outsourced everything.
Right.
Did you feel that WWE reaching out soon after, almost immediately after, they had you come back and do a match at Mania, then they brought you on staff again to do various things like the Mae Young Classic. Did you feel touched at all by the timing of them saying, hey, we'd love to have you around again?
Yeah, well, that's Vince and Kevin Dunn, and both were, we went through a lot together. When you go through the WWE years, the lawsuits and all the other stuff, the federal stuff, and, I was there for everything. And to see where the company has evolved and grown, and how the people that are decision makers have evolved and grown is great. But they hired me back. To be honest with you guys, they paid me more money than I would have paid me in that role. They were very generous. And they've left me alone with very few assignments until I get my feet on the ground, so to speak. The young man that killed my wife is requesting now a jury trial, which is a major pain in the keister. Sure. Because I got to go to it, and I don't want to go to it.
She was riding a Vespa.
She was riding a Vespa home. It's turning into our home, and he came over the hill by our house and was on his phone allegedly, and he ran over the top of her. So she didn't have a chance. So, but they've left me, Pete, to your question. A good question is they let me get back rolling, and they just give me enough. I did 16 matches yesterday in a voiceover session. So now that I'm getting a little bit more loaded on my head.
I guess if you got 16. Did Vince reach out to you personally?
Oh, yeah. Many times.
That's very nice to hear.
Many times. And the first two calls I got were from Steve Austin and The Rock. And they didn't know the others called them. They were different locations, but they were text messages and phone calls. And and the outpouring was amazing. A lot of my guys I recruited, Barry Switzer, who I live near in Norman, says, when you recruit a ball player, you're recruiting for life. And I kind of take that approach to my talent. I'm their guy. I always want to be their guy. And now that I'm kind of in a funk here with myself, I got a great family, but nobody home. I need that camaraderie. That's why these shows I'm doing tomorrow night is such a fun deal for me, because I'm around my people.
Peter, what are the shows in the book?
Well, just a few tickets left. They may be gone by now. Hurry up and try to get them. JR, Ringside with Jim Ross, hosted by Don's brother Dave, tomorrow night at Gotham Comedy Club. Go to gothamcomedyclub.com for tickets. JR's book comes out in October, Slobber Knocker, and like I said, August 28th, the Mae Young Classic, WWE Network. And of course, all weekend long, a huge WWE weekend.
Huge weekend.
Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Every night, there are tickets available to everything but SummerSlam. There's some tickets available to everything else, starting at $20.
Are you going to the game tonight? Are you? I know you're a baseball fan.
I don't know for sure.
Okay.
I'd like to, but I got a lot of my plate's kind of full.
Well, we appreciate
Michael,
you coming by and doing this.
And Paul Heyman's going to join me tomorrow night.
Oh, right, I forgot. Your guest is the great Paul Heyman, of course. So if you can get a word in edgewise tomorrow, it'll be incredible.
That'd be great. I'm okay with that. I'm a soundbite guy.
Really nice to meet you.
Very nice to meet you.
And our condolences about your wife.
Thanks, fellas.
Best
Seeing
of
you
luck.
guys.
JR.
You bet. Appreciate you guys. Thank you.